Alright guys, welcome back to this C++ video tutorial, and my name is Radolf. Now in the previous tutorial we talked about how we can nest in a lot of if statements to perform an operation. In this tutorial we are talking about the else if statement. Now the else if statement can also help us do a lot of tests, and a certain bit of code will execute. Okay, so quickly let's know the syntax for that. Now the syntax, first of all, we have the if, then we have our condition over here which will be tested, or the boolean expression. Then over here we have our body for the test. Now outside this we have the else if, and we have another condition over here which will be tested. Then inside the body here is another code that will run. Again, you can place in another else if to test a condition again, and after this condition is being tested, it goes ahead and run this bit of code in this side body. Remember to end it with the else statement, then inside here the codes will also run. So that is the syntax for the else if statement, I mean the nested else if statement. Always there is the if statement starting, and it always ends with the else statement. Okay, now let me talk about these blocks. Now after every condition we have these blocks over here. Now we can do away with these blocks, and like so, delete delete this block, that one too. We can also go away with this, and we can have our syntax this way, and it will work for us without the blocks. Okay, so if you have this and you put in some codes over here without the blocks, it's going to work. Okay, but if you are keeping the blocks, then remember to close them each time you open it. So that's what you need to know about the blocks as well. So quickly let's build a program with this else if statement to know how actually it really works. Okay, so quickly let me go ahead and let me declare a global variable. I like global variables because they can be used anywhere, and this is int x. I'll set it equals a number like 10. Now inside my main method I'll put in my if statement, and I'll say if x is should I start it greater than 0, then this time around I'm not going to include blocks over here. You can include blocks if you want. So I will see out something like if x is greater than 0, then that means x is a positive number. So I will say your number is a positive number. Allow me spell number like this. Okay, so I'll end that. So if x is greater than 0, then it will print out this. Okay, and I can go ahead and introduce my else if x is less than 0. If x is less than 0, then what is it? Then that means x, your number, is a negative number. That's right, negative num, like so. Okay, so then what else can we do again? We can introduce the last statement, which is the else, like this. Else our number will be 0. Okay, because if x is greater than 0 and is less than 0, it's either positive or negative, or our number is 0. So I would say your number is 0, like so. Okay, so let's go ahead, build and run this program, and your number is a positive number. Now if I change this to negative 89, then build and run, it will say your number is a negative number. If I change this to 0 and run, it will say your number is 0. So that's how the else if statement works. I can put in a lot of else if statements to perform an operation. So let me go ahead, build another program that will allow me put in a lot of else if statements. So let's go and build this program. Now I'm going to set a variable int score, and I'll set score equals a number like 90. Then inside my main I'll put in this test. Now if my score, like this, if my score is greater than or equal to 90, then what should I see? This time around I'll use this block and I will say see out your grade is A, like this. And okay, now else if my score is greater than or equal to 80, then what will I say? Now I will say something like see out your grade is B. Okay, now I can nest in another else if again. So else if, okay, score is greater or equal to 70, then I should see something like see out your grade is C. Okay, so I can nest in a lot of else if statements in this program, but for the sake of time I'm not going to do that. Else I can, then I will say see out you have failed. Okay, that means if the user scores 60 below, or yes, from 70 below, the user has failed the test. Okay, so let me go ahead, build, and remember I include blocks over here, did that over here, did that over here, but with the else I did not include any blocks, and that is a very bad practice. Don't do that. If you are using blocks anywhere, try to use it anywhere. If you are not using blocks, then don't use it anywhere for consistency. Build and run, and now your grade is A. If I change this to 80, then I build and run, it will say your grade is B. Okay, so that's it. That's how the else if statement does. If I want to allow the user to input something, then remember I'll set scores equals no number, then I'll prompt the user to do something. So I'll say user should enter a number. So enter a number, then I'll have my C in. Okay, then I'll have my score over here, like so. Okay, so when I build and run this, enter a number, and if I enter 90, your grade is A. Okay, so that is it for this tutorial. That is how the else if statement works. You can nest them as many as you want. That is it for this tutorial. Don't forget to meet me in my next tutorial, and it's going to be real fun. Bye.